Hello, today I'm here with Eamonn O'Brien from the Reluctant Speakers Club, and he recently told me that he thinks Google Plus is working really well from him. So I grabbed the opportunity to talk to him about his success with Google Plus. Hi Eamonn.
Hello, hi Amanda, how are you doing?
So I've been looking at what you're doing on Google Plus, and I have to say I love what you're doing on your personal profile. You seem to be really getting involved. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do there? How long do you spend a day, and what's your strategy if you have one?
Well, I do have a strategy, but most of it's content driven, and it really is about finding things that are genuinely useful to me or I think might be useful to other people, and finding a way to share that, and if you like, sharing the wealth. So that's where I start.
Okay, and are you sharing content from outside Google Plus, or are you just finding people to connect with on Google Plus, and maybe that's how you're connecting with people?
It's both, because the reality is that you find people who you've already connected with, whether it be at Twitter or it's Facebook to a lesser extent, and LinkedIn, that all of those can be potential sources of people who see content that's interesting and say, okay, now that it's quite a good vehicle also for sharing content. So it's very easy.
And also, and I think I see you doing this far more on Google Plus than on Facebook. I think maybe you feel more comfortable in Google Plus, but you seem to be sparking up more conversations and getting
I'm
more
sparking
interactions.
more conversations, and it's interesting. It seems easier to spark up conversations in the sense that I think Facebook is great for business to consumer. I think that if you're sharing pictures, if you're sharing video, that you can absolutely get more people to get engaged, not necessarily read things, because people will still read things. But I just don't see in Facebook quite as much response as you will get out of a Google Plus.
Okay, and I think from my point of view, I'm just seeing you go out there a little bit more on Google Plus. Is it because you feel there's more businesses there that you feel more comfortable there? Or
No, I mean, really, I've got maybe 4 or 5 reasons for spending time on Google Plus. Firstly, it seems to me that apart from the fact that there's potential Google juice for being in another Google place, and I can't quantify that for you, I have to say, but other than anecdotally, there has been an increase in traffic. But I would say that the people that I find there, they tend to be more professional. So you have less of a mix. You don't really have as many consumers, I think, who are actively involved, not that I've seen anyway, on Google Plus. The content that people are sharing seems to be also much more useful from a business perspective. So you have less stuff. Things that really might be interesting if you're having a chat down the pub, but not necessarily that interesting.
so you've avoided circling all those people that post animated GIFs all day long is on Google Plus.
I have clearly ignored them all with great success because I'm not engaged with them. So, but I also find that when you're having conversations, that the conversations are better conversations. Yeah. So, I mean, even today, for example, we were having a conversation, and I'll be careful what I say because it was about the recent Facebook launch, and it had to do with developing presence in the market and what people take from what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, there's a lot of conversation about how the initial price for Facebook had started at $38 and is now trading at about 31. It could even be less since I looked earlier on today. So it's sparking a lot of conversation about credibility.
Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously that's exploded everywhere today. I'm kind of staying out of it. I know nothing about finance. I know about Facebook, but when you get into the IPO, I'm completely lost. Do you have many circles? Do you have different interest groups in circles, or are you just pretty much broadcasting publicly?
I do have some circles, and it's still very early days. I've really only been involved in doing anything with Google Plus now for really about a month. But already I'm seeing quite a reaction, and I'm seeing traffic coming back to me as a consequence of that. So it is a two-way street.
Yeah, I guess that's my next question. How are you measuring those results? How do you know it's working?
Okay. Well, without getting into all of the gory detail, I went from about 0% to about 6% of my traffic in the last 3 weeks has come from Google Plus.
That's very interesting. And
Now,
actually, one thing I've noticed as well, just sorry to butt in there, but one thing I've noticed with Google Plus, if I post a link to Google Plus, obviously I shorten my links to see if I'm getting click-throughs on it. I'll notice that Google crawls that link immediately because I'm getting one click-through registered. So it's not a rumor about the Google juice. You are getting Google juice. Google are crawling every single link that you put up on the network. So it's obviously going to have an effect from that point of view.
yeah, well, certainly I'm seeing it not just through Google Plus, but I'm also seeing it through Google searches. So both numbers have gone up. So whereas historically, LinkedIn has always been my number one source for people coming to my blog. But what I'm seeing now is that the number of people who are coming through organic Google searches is going up, as well as my number from Google Plus itself, which now exceeds what I get out of Facebook, having been involved in Facebook for 9 months.
Cool. Well, that's always good to know because I think there's a lot of people out there thinking it's not worth spending the time on Google Plus.
But you see, it's not just that it's bringing traffic. It's what kind of traffic it's bringing, because I looked at the figures and it's actually extraordinary. I'll have to look down here for a wee bit to see what the figures actually are. But in essence, the dwell time that I'm getting from somebody who's coming from a Google Plus would be equal to what I would get from LinkedIn. So we're talking about somewhere between 13 and 15 minutes a visit.
Wow.
Whereas if I'm looking at Pinterest, if I get 10 seconds.
And probably similar for Twitter, I'd say, yes.
Well, no, Twitter is not the same, actually. Twitter, it's not that figure, but stumble upon and Pinterest, for me, maybe for others it would be different. They tend to be people who find you by accident, not by design. Mm-hmm. I'm just not convinced that those people are anything other than transient traffic. So you're delighted to get any form of traffic, don't get me wrong, but I just think in terms of people who are looking for the types of things that you maybe can do for others, then perhaps that's a better tool. But what's also interesting is that, and it's tied into the amount of time people spend on your site, that the bounce rate is the lowest from Google Plus of any of the tools that I'm using. And I looked across everything, so it is the lowest by far.
Okay, that's interesting.
Sub 40%, which is very good.
Okay, and I suppose the question that always, I know there's people, cynics out there that are sitting there going, yes, but has anyone ever rung you up or emailed you and said, I heard about you on Google Plus? And I'm kind of guessing already that the answer to that is going to be no directly, because that's not the way it works. Kind of people visit your website and then make the call, and they don't necessarily link it to what you're doing on Google Plus, unless you've got a great news story for me.
Well, I think it's early days for that. Anecdotally, I'm certainly seeing that people are following me from Google Plus onto Twitter. So I'm recognizing the same people. These are brand new relationships in many cases, people that I would not have been in contact with before. So that's happening. And then I'm seeing even some of them come on to LinkedIn. So,
and yeah, I think that's what people forget about social media and about sales and marketing in general. It's about building relationships. So they might not come onto your Google Plus page and instantly give you a call, but over a time, if you're building those relationships, some of those people are going to become customers.
Yeah, I think, Amanda, it's like this. Look, at the end of the day, these are all people who are interested in the types of things that I might be interested in, and therefore, because you have like minds, you tend to get on famously, and you tend to find that both I'm willing to share and they're willing to share, and that creates a platform. So it's like any of these things. It's a win-win for everybody. That's how social media works, really.
Yeah, and I agree totally. And just finally, I know I keep saying finally, but interestingly, we've talked a lot about your your profile page, but you have a business page as well for the Reluctant Speakers Club. And having a quick look, you're just mostly just posting your blog posts out to that. Do you have a particular strategy for what you're going to post your personal page as opposed to your business page?
That's a work in progress. You know, I'm very much just experimenting with Google Plus, because So far, and maybe I haven't figured it all out yet, and I've figured a lot of it out, but I have figured some things out. Okay. It's quite clear that people respond more to the person, a bit like they do on Facebook, than they do with and around the business page. So, a business page is an inanimate object, probably, and that's perhaps why you just don't see the same traction of people who would find their way back. Now, having said that, I did an experiment this morning, which I need to kind of build on, where I actually plussed my own business page, which I don't know why it didn't strike me before. I said, well, okay, I wonder what happens when you do that. So, look, we're all trying to figure out how do these things actually work. And, I saw this morning somebody talking about social, this new thing that's out from Microsoft,
network,
talking about it being a new Google Plus, and I had a look at that, and I don't think so.
No, but that's another day.
That's another day. But one thing I will say is that I haven't really figured out, and I'd be interested if others have had experience that they could share, how to make your business page more visible. Because you cannot go and select people from there. They have to come and find you. Mm-hmm. So you have to build a path, and perhaps it takes a while to build that path. But so far, just in terms of overall following through to my blog, and it's, as I say, it's really, really early days to see that I've gone from 0 to 6%, and to see that kind of dwell time, that kind of low bounce rate, and that kind of general conversation. But it's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a good formula going in a way. Well, thanks a million, Eamonn. It was great to chat to you.
No problem.